It's the month of May, and Mari rushes through the streets to catch up with her class. She bumps into strangers but keeps going, determined not to be late. Along the way, she notices a human-like figure with the face and body of a dog. They are called beastfolk. Lately, she has been seeing more of them, but with time running out, she focuses on getting to school first. At Yatsuno High School, the instructor is already making announcements. He informs the class about the arrival of special status students, referring to the beastfolk. He briefly explains their origin, stating that they are actually products of a failed experiment from years ago, making them a rare species. There are only about 3,000 of them in existence, all living in one area of Saitama Prefecture. Despite their differences, they are essentially like humans. Many even visit human society, so now they are given the chance to study alongside human students to better understand them. However, one student raises her concern, claiming that beastfolk can be violent. The class also grows uneasy at this, but the instructor reassures them that only those who have passed strict government screening procedures are allowed to study with humans. Meanwhile, Marvi arrives at the school gates, but they are already closed. She quickly looks for another way in and spots a boy wearing the same school uniform. She learns that he got lost, which caused him to arrive late as well. To his surprise, Marvi throws her bag over the fence and begins to climb. She encourages him to follow her, offering her hand. Only then does she realize she is actually talking to a beast person. For a brief moment, she is startled, but before she can react further, he takes her hand and proceeds to jump on top of the fence as well. Tsunagu jumps down first while Mari is still processing what just happened, unable to believe she actually spoke to and held a beast person's hand. She recalls the coldness of his hand, but before she can think further, Tsunagu calls out to her from below. Startled, she leaps off the fence and he catches her just in time. Without saying anything else, Tsunagu immediately walks away. When Mari finally reaches class, her friends greet her cheerfully. Thankfully, homeroom isn't over yet. However, she can't focus on anything, as her mind is still replaying the encounter with Tsunagu. She only snaps back to reality when the instructor enters the room again, but this time he is with Tsunagu. It turns out Tsunagu is the special status student the instructor mentioned earlier. He will be joining their class from now on. As he introduces himself, the room fills with whispers of unease. By coincidence, he is also assigned the seat right next to Mari, who remains frozen in shock. As Tsunagu sits down, he tries to greet Mari, while the instructor reminds the class to treat him with respect before continuing with the lesson. Mari, however, can't help but notice how massive Tsunagu is beside her. His broad frame blocks her view of the window completely. Throughout the day, the class still can't stop talking about him. Because of this, Mari grows increasingly annoyed. Even the students from other classes crowd outside their classroom just to catch a glimpse of Tsunagu. She tries to act indifferent, but the noise is distracting her. Then she suddenly remembers that she hasn't thanked him yet for catching her earlier. Just as she's about to speak, a classmate starts pestering Tsunagu, asking absurd questions about the nature of beastfolk. The situation grows uncomfortable, so Yukihiro steps in to stop the behavior, even scolding him for being insensitive. They quickly apologize, and to everyone's surprise, Tsunagu stays calm. He even answers some of the earlier questions with patience. Because of this, Yukihiro immediately snaps at him, scolding him for being so casual and not showing any anger. Yukihiro then formally introduces himself, but Tsunagu only gives a brief reply. As their conversation continues, Mari completely loses the chance to thank him, so she turns away and heads over to her friends who have been calling her. As the day goes on, Mari notices Tsunagu's quiet nature, which only makes her more curious about him. On her way home, she reflects on how normal and repetitive her life has always been, following the same routine day after day, until Tsunagu's arrival suddenly changed the view from her window. Lost in thought, she happens to spot him on the road. A group of guys is standing in front of him, blocking his way. They mock him openly, refusing to let him pass. Though he clearly just wants to go home, their relentless teasing continues. Instead of reacting violently as they expect, Tsunagu calmly steps onto the bridge railing and walks along it to get past them. But just as he's about to step off the railing, Mari accidentally blocks his path. Startled, he loses his balance and tumbles into the river below. The guys panic and flee the scene. Marvi runs down toward the riverbank, blaming herself for Tsunagu's fall. Minutes pass and she still doesn't see him resurface, so she assumes beastfolk can't swim. Without hesitation, she throws off her backpack and dives into the water to save him. But before she even reaches him, Tsunagu manages to climb out on his own. Once on land, Tsunagu realizes Marvi jumped in to rescue him, thinking his fall was her fault. He isn't upset, but he is clearly more concerned about her risking her life for him. As they talk, Marvi finally gets the chance to thank him for catching her earlier that day. To her surprise, Tsunagu's tail begins to wag uncontrollably like a dog. He admits he isn't used to receiving gratitude from humans, so he becomes flustered. When asked about the earlier incident, Tsunagu explains that he tries to stay composed when people mock him because if he loses control, they'll only see him as a monster. He doesn't want that, so he chooses patience. Just as he finishes and is about to leave, he suddenly sneezes in front of Mari. With this, Mari brings Tsunagu home with her and explains the situation to her mother. At first, her mom feels uneasy about having a beast person in the house, but she eventually agrees to accommodate him. As they enter, Mari and her mom quietly discuss Tsunagu. However, their concerns ease when they see him innocently playing with their pet dog. Marvin notices how gentle and sensitive he seems, even more so than most humans. Later, as Tsunagu prepares to take off his uniform, Marvi suddenly barges in. When she realizes he hasn't taken off his uniform yet, she's about to leave, but to her shock, Tsunagu casually strips right in front of her, exposing his half-naked body. Flustered, Mari washes his clothes, but her eyes can't help but notice his physique. Though covered in fur, his body is quite ripped. When she fails to reach for the detergent on the top shelf, Tsunagu immediately steps in to help. They end up standing very close and their noses accidentally touch, creating an awkward moment. With that, Marvi quickly excuses herself, leaving Tsunagu alone to take a shower. Both Tsunagu and Marvi are unsettled by the moment their noses touch. Nonetheless, both of them have their hearts pounding like crazy because of that interaction. The next day, Marvi runs around with her pet dog, Yuki. After a while, they take a break and stop on their track. She cuddles Yuki in her arms, and when the dog's snout accidentally brushes her nose, she's instantly reminded of her encounter with Tsunagu from yesterday. Meanwhile, Tsunagu is also heading to school when one of his beastfolk friends catches up to him, and soon more of them gather. They proceed to ask how school is going and check on him. He insists no one is bullying him, but they don't believe him. Surrounded by more of his kind, he finally snaps, telling them he has made up his mind about attending school for the next 3 years and doesn't need to be babied. After that, he walks away, shows his ID to the guards, and they open the gate, allowing him to leave for school. That day, during PE, the class plays basketball together, and Tsunagu proves to be exceptionally skilled. After the game, his classmates can't help but praise him, and even his teammates invite him to join the basketball team. However, beastfolk are not allowed to participate in official school sports. Meanwhile, Mari is watching him from the sidelines and can't take her eyes off him at all. Just by seeing his form, she's already burning up, and her friends immediately notice her flustered expression. They suspect she's curious about him, though she tries to deny it. Their conversation gets cut short when the coach whistles to settle everyone down. Apparently, the opposing team lost, so they are furious after Tsunagu scored too many points against them, and they start talking badly about him. After that, as the other students begin to leave, Marvi stays behind to return some equipment. At the same time, Tsunagu happens to do the same. They end up casually talking about the previous day while walking into the storage room. Mari also mentions his basketball skills, and his ears twitch in embarrassment, which only makes her find him even more adorable. While she's lost in thought, a pile of sports equipment suddenly starts to fall toward her, and the storage room door slams shut. It turns out the opposing team from earlier is seeking revenge for their loss against Tsunagu, so they lock the two inside, leaving them trapped. Back in the classroom, a few students notice Tsunagu's absence and begin to wonder why he's late. At the same time, the boys who trapped them arrive to report to their accomplice. They laugh among themselves, even planning to throw away Tsunagu's textbooks while he's gone. In the storage room, Tsunagu quickly jumps in front of Mari, shielding her from the falling equipment. A support pole grazes his hand, but he ignores the pain and checks if she's alright. He then tries to open the door, only to confirm that the boys really did trap them inside. Concerned, Mari takes a handkerchief from her pocket and gently wraps it around his injured hand. While doing so, she notices once again how cold his hand is. Tsunagu explains that it's usually warm, but it gets cold at school because he feels nervous. As she tends to him, his tail starts wagging again. He admits he isn't used to being treated kindly since beastfolk cities don't have hospitals or doctors for minor cases, and only those who are very sick are seen by professionals. This is why Tsunagu dreams of becoming a doctor. Yet, when he finally gets the chance to study, humans tend to bully him despite him doing nothing wrong. At this point, Mari feels pity for Tsunagu, so she gently holds his hand. She truly wants to help him. She explains that if he's always anxious, it might affect his studies, so she offers to help, even if it's just by keeping his hands warm. She wants to do this because she considers him her friend. But the moment she says it, she hurriedly tries to make excuses, but in her fluster, she steps on the pole and slips. Fortunately, Tsunagu reacts quickly and catches her. Now they're suddenly very close, and Mari can feel his fur against her skin. Hearing Mari call him a friend deeply touches Tsunagu. Mari tries to hold his hand once again, but now it's not as cold. Then something seems to get into Tsunagu. He starts sniffing around Mari, recognizing the sweet scent he also smelled from earlier. He comes closer and starts growling because of this. Then he starts sniffing her neck until Mari is completely slumped onto the floor. Tsunabu seems unable to control himself. Marve is terrified, but he is so strong that she cannot move. His growling also intensifies, so she braces herself, afraid he will eat her alive.
Take you